There is a quiet type of person who doesn't chase. They don't beg for attention. They don't demand reassurance. They don't run after people who pull away. And because of that, they are deeply misunderstood. Some call them cold. Some call them arrogant. Some assume they don't care. But psychology tells a very different story. People who don't chase are not emotionally unavailable. They are emotionally regulated. They are not detached from love. They are detached from desperation. They don't move from fear. They move from self-respect. And that changes everything. The first misunderstanding about not chasing. Most people believe chasing is proof of love. Psychology disagrees. Chasing is often not love. It is anxiety trying to control uncertainty. When someone doesn't chase, it doesn't mean they feel less. It means they don't let fear dictate their behavior. They understand something most people don't. Connection cannot be forced without being damaged. Secure attachment and the absence of chase. From an attachment psychology perspective, people who don't chase often display secure attachment traits. Secure individuals feel emotions deeply, value connection, but do not fear abandonment to the point of self-betrayal. They trust that if someone wants to stay, they will. If someone wants to leave, chasing won't save the bond. This belief gives them emotional stability. They don't chase because they don't panic. The nervous system difference. Chasing behavior is not a personality flaw. It is a nervous system response. Anxious nervous systems seek proximity when they feel threat. Regulated nervous systems pause. People who don't chase have learned how to sit with uncertainty, tolerate silence, allow emotions to rise without reacting. This doesn't make them heartless. It makes them self-controlled. Why silence feels so loud around them? When someone doesn't chase, their silence carries weight. Psychologically, silence creates a mirror. It forces the other person to reflect on their behavior, sit with their own emotions, confront their intentions. Chasing removes that mirror. Silence preserves it. That is why emotionally avoidant or insecure people feel unsettled around non-chasers. Emotional economy, where they invest energy. People who don't chase understand emotional economy. They know energy is limited. Attention is valuable. Effort should be mutual. They don't spend emotional currency where there is no return. This is not punishment. It is alignment. They don't withdraw to manipulate. They withdraw to protect balance. Why they are often misread as detached. Here's the paradox. People who don't chase often care deeply. But they don't express care through urgency. They express care through consistency. They show up when it matters. Communicate clearly. Respect boundaries. But they won't chase confusion. To anxious minds, calm feels like distance. To regulated minds, calm is safety. Childhood conditioning and the absence of chase. Many non-chasers developed early emotional independence. They learned to self-soothe, to regulate disappointment, to accept emotional reality instead of fighting it. This does not mean they were unloved. It often means they learned resilience early. They don't seek validation externally because they learned to generate it internally. The difference between not chasing and avoidance. This distinction matters deeply. Avoidant people don't chase because they fear intimacy. Secure people don't chase because they respect it. Avoidance pushes connection away. Security allows connection to exist without control. Non-chasers are present, not absent. They simply don't overextend. Why people chase them instead? Psychology explains attraction through emotional contrast. When someone doesn't chase, they remove pressure. They remove predictability. They remove emotional noise. This creates psychological space. And space allows desire to breathe. People often chase non-chasers not because of manipulation, but because emotional freedom is magnetic. Control versus choice. Chasing is an attempt to control outcomes. Not chasing is acceptance of choice. People who don't chase believe love chosen freely is the only love worth having. They refuse to audition for affection. They refuse to convince someone of their value. This creates quiet confidence. Emotional self-trust. At the core of not chasing is self-trust. They trust their ability to survive loss, their ability to rebuild, their ability to be alone without collapsing. This trust removes desperation. And desperation is what fuels chasing. Why rejection doesn't break them? Rejection hurts everyone. But it doesn't dismantle non-chasers. Because they don't anchor their identity to someone else's response. They feel pain. They grieve. They process. But they don't beg. Pain is allowed. Self-respect is protected. The psychological strength of pausing. Pausing is power. People who don't chase know when to pause. When communication becomes unclear. When effort becomes one-sided. When respect begins to erode. Pausing allows truth to surface. Chasing buries truth under fear. Emotional boundaries as attraction. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. People who don't chase have strong internal boundaries. They don't collapse when others pull away. This creates stability, safety, emotional gravity. Boundaries make presence meaningful. Why they trigger insecure patterns in others. Non-chasers often activate unresolved attachment wounds in others. Their calm highlights the other person's anxiety, the other person's fear of abandonment, the other person's need for reassurance. This can feel threatening. Not because the non-chaser is doing something wrong, but because they refuse to participate in emotional chaos. The inner dialogue of someone who doesn't chase. Their inner voice sounds like this. If it flows, I stay. If it forces, I pause. If it costs my self-respect, I leave. This is emotional maturity in action. Love without possession. People who don't chase love without possession. They don't believe love equals ownership. They believe love equals choice. They allow others to come and go. Not because it doesn't hurt, but because freedom matters more than control. Why they are rare. Most people are taught to chase. To prove worth. To earn love. Few are taught to wait. To observe. To choose alignment over attachment. That's why non-chasers stand out. The long-term relationship advantage. In long-term relationships, non-chasers communicate clearly. Avoid emotional games. Address issues without panic. They don't escalate conflict. They regulate it. This makes them stable partners. Emotional detachment versus emotional balance. They are not emotionally detached. They are emotionally balanced. They feel. They care. They attach. But they do not lose themselves. Why silence is their loudest language. Silence is not punishment for them. It is information. They use silence to observe patterns, assess alignment, protect clarity. Their silence is intentional, not reactive. The ultimate psychological truth. People who don't chase understand one core truth. Anything that requires you to abandon yourself to keep was never meant to stay. If you like this video, subscribe to Master Mindology for deep psychology, emotional intelligence, and relationship insights that help you stop overthinking and start seeing the truth.